So the Broker's Guide to Using ActiveRain, who uses ActiveRain? And this is a mural that we take around the country. It's got, I don't know, there's 20,000 pictures, little faces on this thing from all of the different members of ActiveRain. And we have literally the gamut of everybody and anybody you would expect to find in the real estate industry is probably using ActiveRain to some degree. We have now over 320,000 members. And even more than that, we have 463,000 people on a monthly basis that come back to ActiveRain more than one time. Okay, and this is a stat out of our Google Analytics, but what this tells us is not only do we have our members who are here on ActiveRain, but we've got other people inside of the real estate industry that maybe have never actually joined ActiveRain who come back here because with over 5 million articles having been written, and granted today a lot of those articles are kind of focused on consumers or geared towards kind of local information or local market statistics or information about local subdivisions and condo complexes written by agents with the gear of attracting consumers. We've also got a huge inventory and a huge storehouse of knowledge by agents or by brokers or by appraisers or inspectors for their peers. Okay, 65% of those 320,000 members on ActiveRain are going to be real estate agents. But who else do we have? Like I said, we've got just about everybody and anybody else that you would ever see inside of a real estate transaction. You know, the service providers, the title stagers. There's all kinds of media types. There's brokers. Obviously, we've got vendors. When you get a large collection of agents in one place, there's people that want to be able to talk to those agents. So you guys come in here as the brokers, and I think that there's a lot that you guys are able to share, and just simply having a place where, I don't know what the numbers are, I guess, where there's 180,000 real estate agents who are coming to ActiveRain with some frequency. This is a pretty good place for you to be able to be. So we're going to talk about, how can you reach out and recruit some of these existing agents? How can you even recruit agents using ActiveRain that maybe are brand new agents? Before we do that, I want to kind of just touch on what is blogging, because the crux of ActiveRain is the idea that you would keep a blog on there. And I had a guy I was down in Atlanta for a recent conference, and I had a gentleman who pulled me to the side and he said, I've been hearing a lot about this blogging, and you see it in other businesses, and people are using this, and I read a study where companies that blog are able to generate, X percentage more number of leads for their business than companies that don't blog. But I'm not sure that I know what a blog is. I'm not sure that I have time for this blogging thing. Here's what I would say to you. If you are capable of writing email, you are capable of blogging. Okay, it's really that simple, and I would be shocked if there was somebody on the call today that would be willing to raise their hand and say, yeah, I don't email. What's happening, and I tell this same thing to agents who tell me, I don't really have the time to blog. I believe that every day you are probably answering questions via email that could just as easily be answered via your blog, but instead of educating that one person who that email was for, you now start to build this kind of repository of knowledge that you can share with anybody and potentially with everybody. Okay, so your blog is really just like an email. It's writing something, it's posting it online, and now instead of just educating that one person, you have the potential to educate many, many more people. So if any part of you thinks to yourself, gosh, I just don't know if I could blog, it's really not that challenging. In fact, at the end of the call, I'm going to give you guys kind of some resources where you can learn how to get started blogging. And we do classes bi-weekly where Carrie takes people through and kind of gives you just a real big, broad rundown on what ActiveRain is, how you navigate around the site. On the other week, then she goes in and gives you a class on how do you write your first blog post. So mechanically, blogging is very simple, and we walk you through it. From the perspective of, can I do it? Well, if you can email, you can do it, okay? Do you have to blog to be using ActiveRain? The answer for that is probably no. Okay, now it's going to be more effective if you choose to get in there and blog, But it's really easy to start building relationships with people kind of in your local market. And we'll talk about that towards the end of the call, just by simply commenting and adding something to the discussion. So you don't necessarily have to be a blogger. Now, we would hope, obviously, that eventually you would become that. But you don't have to blog to use ActiveRain. But hopefully in today's call, I'm going to give you kind of some ideas, some things you could be blogging about, and some reasons why you might want to be doing this. So why spend the next 45 minutes with me? Well, we're going to talk about recruiting new agents. Okay, we're going to give you some ideas on how you might go about doing that, recruiting existing agents. The process of blogging in itself will help to build your brand, and it will get you out there in some ways that you might not have gotten your business kind of online and in front of people before. And it could potentially give you access to new customers, and that might be, you know, if you're a broker who also practices, that might be access to new customers for your own business. If you're a broker who is just kind of the Rainmaker type broker, where you're out there generating leads for your agents to work, this could give you access to new customers to pass on to your agents. And at the end of the call, I'm actually going to invite everybody to take our boot camp series, which is a series of classes that I teach where I walk you through how do you blog, with the aim being to reach consumers, and how can you actually generate leads with your blog. And this may not be something that you might be interested in. It could be something that you're just interested in passing on to some of the agents in your office to say, hey, here's a resource, or here's a way that you can learn how to do this, because literally thousands of our members are being successful with this. They're generating leads every day for their business. They're driving traffic to their websites. And so I'll give you guys kind of the rundown on how your agents can get involved in that, or how you could even get involved in that. A couple of things I want to kind of touch on before we start to dive into really utilizing ActiveRain for your business. We have a thing on ActiveRain called our Rainmaker account. And assuming that you become a Rainmaker, the general public will see these posts. So as I mentioned, you know, we have 460,000 returning users, and we kind of tag those people as either our members or people in the real estate industry, people who are consistently finding ActiveRain because there's information on there that they're interested in. But the other, you know, 2 million visitors a month that we're getting on ActiveRain are just people in the general public who are doing search queries, and they're finding ActiveRain because somebody on ActiveRain has written content that matches up with the query that person put into Google. The free account on ActiveRain, and if you've never used ActiveRain, or you were like a 1 or a 2, you probably have our free account, and our free account will allow you to post content that can be seen by the other members of the site, so that the content becomes what's called members-only content, and the other people that, you know, the other 320,000 members, if they're logged in, can see that content. That content is not indexed by the search engines. It's not out there for the general public to see. So there's kind of there's, you know, 2 ways that you can participate on ActiveRain. You can have the free account, or you can have a Rainmaker account. It doesn't have to be you that posts. And look, I realize, like I said, we ran a brokerage. I know there's a million things you could be doing every day. Okay, it doesn't have to be you as the broker that posts. And I would venture to guess that, you know, if you have a brokerage right now, you probably have quite a bit of collateral out there already, right? But for a lot of us, that stuff, maybe it's sitting on our website. You know, it's not on our, like, your website is not a place where 320,000 agents are subscribed to and are hanging out every day and are having conversations. You might have this stuff in manuals, or, you know, like I said, you've probably written emails where you've explained to like a new agent who's wanting to join the business exactly what your company offers. You can have somebody else within your organization, your assistant, the person at the front desk who maybe has time in between, you know, throughout their day. You can have somebody else be the person that's posting blog content on your behalf. It doesn't have to be you. And in fact, a lot of the brokers on ActiveRain that are pretty effective, they kind of find a happy medium there. They'll do some of the posting, right? But then, or they might just write stuff as they're sitting down at their computer. They may just write something and then they hand it over to an admin person to actually post that content in there. And then maybe they come back and they're the ones that follow up and do the comments and have the engagement. But it doesn't have to be you that takes that time to post something, and especially if you already have those resources, right? You've already got the manual, you've already got content on your website. There's no reason why you shouldn't find somebody in your organization to get that content out there in front of a larger audience. This is one of the things. Do you have targets for who you want to recruit? This is actually a question I'd like to pose to all of you guys right now. How many of you guys keep some kind of a list where you have targets, people that you know that you want to recruit, that you are then able to communicate any kind of a message to? Is anybody doing that right now in your business? Do you have something, some kind of a database or something? And I mean, I guess the MLS could be this place, right? Like, I want to recruit every agent in the MLS. But so there's a few of you that are saying, yeah, I've got a database. There's a few of you that are saying no. I mention this because I think it's important, and as you start to build a library of valuable content, as you start to write about things that agents in your market may be interested in, it's a good idea to have a list of people that you can share this data and this content with. Okay, in this area, I frequently make kind of trips around to different brokerages, and I'll go attend like trainings, or I'll do trainings for some of the local brokerages. It's easy here for me to get out for an hour or three and do a training at a brokerage, or go and watch a training at a brokerage, because I like to see what brokerages are doing and you know, kind of what's available for agents out there. I've gotten on a few of these lists over time. Okay, and this particular email that you're seeing right now, this is an email that came into my inbox 3 days ago. It's a lady. She's a Keller Williams, I don't know, team owner or something of that nature. And I'm on her database list, right? I'm on the list that she uses when she markets things that are going on in their brokerage. So in this particular article that she sent out to me, she's talking about real estate teams and how adding a showing assistant can help you free up time on your schedule, or something of that nature, right? I get these things from Pam a couple times a month, right? It's not overbearing. In fact, I've chosen to stay on the list because it's interesting to me. I like to see how brokerages are attempting to recruit agents into their business. I wish that we would have been more focused back when we had our brokerage, because really we had leads, and we really utilized leads as a way to get people to join our brokerage, but we didn't have good training. We didn't have a training calendar. We didn't have a whole lot other than the leads to offer people to come into our brokerage. Right? Now, we had targets. We were very good about building up a database of agents who we wanted to join our team, and we kind of had a profile. We knew what type of agent we wanted on our team. But I wish today that we still had the brokerage in conjunction with ActiveRain, because I got so many ideas and things that we've learned over the years that I think we could use to really show people, hey, we're a brokerage that you want to join. So you want to have something, right, where you know that, God, if I write a really great article about the recent training that we just had in our office, I want to be able to share that with some people that might consider looking at our office because we offer this great training. Okay, so having some kind of a list, some kind of a database where you can market to the folks that you want to target, right? Like I would be hard pressed to find a broker in here who doesn't think it's a good idea for their agents to have a database of their clients. Well, as the broker, your clients become the agents that can potentially join your firm. And so it makes sense for you to have something like that as well. These couple of little screenshots I showed here are from Market Leader. They're the parent company of ActiveRain, and they have this sort of a solution for brokerages. So recruiting brand new agents. How do they find you? And as I was putting this class together, I came across, I use Google AdWords keyword tool, and I don't know if you guys are familiar with Google AdWords keyword tool, but basically what it does is you can put a phrase in here and it will show you how often is this particular phrase searched for on average on a monthly basis. So I was curious, how often are people out there searching how to become a real estate agent? Or, there's just a wide variety of different things that they could be typing in related to this. And so what Google AdWords keyword tool is showing me that the phrase how to become a real estate agent is searched for 40,000 times a month on average. Right? That's a lot. And, as the market rebounds and the houses are selling more, right? This is probably getting searched for more and more. Look at this one down here, and this one actually blew me away. The phrase how to be a real estate agent, on average, Google is telling us this phrase is searched for over 1.2 million times per month. Now, when you look at that phrase, you think, well, there's probably some people that are already agents who are searching that phrase, right? How do I actually be a real estate agent instead of just get my license? But, I mean, this is staggering to me, okay? People are going online at a ridiculous clip and searching for how to be a real estate agent or how to become a real estate agent or becoming a real estate agent. Look at some of the variations in here. Become a real estate agent, becoming a real estate agent, steps to becoming a real estate agent, right? People are out there searching for this stuff online, and are they able to find you? Okay? Now, I would maybe challenge you to say, like, if somebody did that search in your market, so what happens is people search, how to become a real estate agent, and then they get information and they realize, wait, this information is from all over, and then they go, well, how do I become a real estate agent in Washington, or how do I become a real estate agent in Seattle, right? So they start to drill these searches down. These are just an example of a few different searches that have landed people on ActiveRain in the last 30 days. How much does it cost to become a real estate agent, right? How much does it cost to become a real estate agent in California? There's all these kind of different variations, and if we go back and we look at the Google AdWords keyword tool, you can start to type really anything you want in here, and you can start to get an idea for just the variety of ways, right? And it shows us all these kind of related ways that people search for becoming a real estate agent. And these are the types of searches that a new agent would do even before they're getting started, right? We want to try to find these people just like you would want to find home searchers early in the process. We would potentially want to find or get in front of people who are thinking about becoming real estate agents early in the process, right? This is the kind of things that you could be blogging about. And again, ActiveRain, as a Rainmaker, your content has, and the people that have been around ActiveRain, have written stuff on ActiveRain, they realize that you can get your content ranking in the search engines very well, especially as you begin to target more and more specific sorts of things that a brand new agent might be looking for. What do these people want to know, right? How much does it cost? Where can I get my license? How long does it take? What do I need to know? What's the best company? What's the best real estate school? Right? I mean, there's a lot of things that brand new agent wants to know. You guys probably get these questions. As a broker, you know what these questions are. Okay, now you need to think in terms of how can I start to share this information in my blog so that a brand new agent is actually finding me. So here's some examples of some posts, and don't feel like you have to write this down. We'll have the recording for this available for everyone to be able to watch again. We've also got a blog post put together that Carrie will give you the link for at the end of class that kind of walks through and gives you kind of a breakdown of some of these posts that you might consider writing as it relates to targeting new or existing agents. So how to get a real estate license in Washington, right? If I was a broker in Washington, I'd want to have some piece of content out there that was potentially able to be found in the search engines that was how to get a real estate license in Washington. Tips to pass the Washington real estate exam, right? How to interview potential brokers. How do commission splits work? How do real estate agents get paid? These are all things that if you guys have dealt with new agents coming in, right, you've probably answered these questions. When we were, Chris Neese, the guy who kind of is behind the scenes here at ActiveRain, and we sit down, and he used to work for Rockwell Institute, which is one of the big teaching schools here in the state of Washington, and so he's got a bunch of real estate background, and when we sit down and build these classes out, we kind of have our little powwow, and we were coming up with ideas like this, and Chris said, think back when you were at your broker, it's like, what kind of questions would you would you guys get, or what would you do to market? And so we kind of came up with this list, right? These are the questions. You guys have all gotten these sorts of questions. You've probably answered them in email, like we talked about. And Chris said, what did you guys used to do? Because for me, I think it's when you're recruiting new agents or even recruiting existing agents, you can do these things online, right? You can write the blog posts that are going to get found in the search engine. So somebody says, oh, here's a broker that's giving me good information. This is somebody that I might want to consider interviewing, as I get my license. But he said, what would you guys do to actually find agents? And one of the things that I used to do to find agents is probably 5 times I took the new agent licensing course at Rockwell. I would go down there, and I already have my license, but I would go down there. I was looking for new agents to recruit. I was after the people that would sit in class and were just hungry for it. And they'd raise their hand, and they wanted to be involved in the discussion, and they were always up after class talking to people. And I was looking for traits in people in these classes that I thought would be valuable for as an agent. Now, we didn't have ActiveRain at that point, okay? So we didn't have our blog out there where we could, share some of the answers to some of these questions with these brand new agents who were just graduating from Rockwell. So I would go down there, I would hand my business card out, I would invite them to come to the career section on our Brio website, right, where we had answers to these sorts of questions. And in my conversations with them, if somebody said, well, oh, so are you an agent somewhere? And I'd say, yeah, I work at Brio, and we're a small brokerage here. God, we got lots of leads that we provide to our agents, and I don't know how you're thinking about getting business when you come out. But they'd always turn to, what kind of commission? What's the splits like? Or how much is your top agent making? Or these kinds of questions would come up over and over again. So to be able to have these questions on demand, right? They're already answered there in your blog. To be able to send somebody a link and say, hey, here's the questions. I know you just came in and interviewed me today. Here's the questions as you interview other potential agents that maybe you might want to think about. Or, these are the kinds of just foundational questions that, as a brand new agent, they don't have the answer, right? When you're in the business for a long time, you kind of think it's second nature that people understand how commission splits work. They might not, though. Now, once you have a blog post, okay, let's say we write something about, how to interview a potential broker, or how do real estate agents get paid, or what does my company offer new agents? Don't just post and pray. And in a couple of weeks, we're going to do a full-blown class on this concept of post and pray marketing. What post and pray marketing is it says, we kind of came up with this idea, but a lot of people on ActiveRain do this. They write the post on ActiveRain, and then they sit back on their hands and they go, man, I can't wait for all the agents on ActiveRain to find this, and I can't wait for the people that doing the searches in the search engines to find this. And that's not necessarily the route that you want to take, okay? Once you have a piece of content, you want to think about, how do I get it out in front of my potential audience? So do you have that database of people that you can potentially email content out to, like Pam does with me, right? A couple times a month, I get something of value. If I was a new agent or an existing agent, the things Pam's sending me would be of value, right? She's trying to impress upon me what their brokerage offers, right? Maybe you send out actual mailers. Something we used to do every time we closed a transaction with an agent from another company, we would just send them a card saying, hey, thanks a lot. We really appreciate the opportunity to be on the other side of this transaction with you. If I was doing that today, I wouldn't be saying, hey, you should come work for us. We're a way better firm, right? But I might be putting something in there like, hey, here's a recent blog post that I wrote about some of the upcoming trainings that we offer, and hey, the trainings here at XYZ Realty are open to everybody, so if you'd like to stop by and join us for one, we'd love to have you. Facebook, like, do you keep lists on Facebook? Facebook's one of these things where, if you have 800 friends, right, and you've got a group of agents who you've friended in your local market, right, you probably want to have those people in a list so that when you would consider sharing something, or maybe people on your list who you think, man, these people would be pretty good potential recruits as a real estate agent, right, you can share those things just to certain people on Facebook. LinkedIn, it's a great place. It's a more of a business environment, right, where it makes sense for you as a broker to be sharing things about your brokerage, to be sharing things on LinkedIn about the idea of becoming a real estate agent, what it takes to become a real estate agent, how commission splits work, what some of the top agents in your office are making. Are you running ads on Craigslist? And even, 7, 8 years ago, as we were recruiting agents for our brokerage, we absolutely used Craigslist. And I know today, like the job section of Craigslist, it's something where you have to pay, I think. When we were doing it, they had just started the pay portion on Craigslist. But there's some other areas, the real estate services area, there's some other sections on Craigslist where you can also post content about your brokerage or about the way that you guys operate or how you do business or the trainings that you're offering or those sorts of things. Okay, so again, in a couple of weeks, and you can check our calendar at ActiveRain University, and however you were notified of this class, you'll be notified in a similar way of the post and pray marketing class we have coming up. But when you've got a good piece of content, the idea is don't just let it sit there in your blog and kind of die on the vine or waiting for that organic search traffic to happen, right? There's these other ways that we can get this information in front of people. Let's talk for a minute about recruiting agents, existing. Why do agents change companies? And I kind of came up with a list here, right? These are some of the things that just really kind of jump into my head as to why agents were changing companies when we had our brokerage. Can anybody else give me some ideas that you guys have? Why are agents changing companies? I want to see some. Does anybody have an additional? So obviously better splits, right? They feel like their broker's not giving them enough support. My favorite is the grass is always greener on the other side, right? If an agent's not having success at their current brokerage, well, it's got to be the broker's fault. And most of us realize that's probably not the case. And granted, there are times when that may be the case, but we saw enough agents leave our brokerage and then end up coming back months later to realize that the grass is not always greener on the other side. Yeah, no success. They're relocating to a new area. You bet. They want a closer location. They don't have a very good web presence. They're looking for a better web presence. Opportunities for growth and team building. So there's a lot of reasons. Can't afford to pay the fees. They're working part-time. Yeah, there's a lot of reasons why agents change offices. Okay, and we can create content, or we can create blog posts. We can talk to those needs of that agent who's thinking about changing offices. So what can you blog about to reach this group? And these are just some ideas, right? Some things that if you're doing these things in your brokerage or you're considering doing them, you want to make sure that you've got somewhere online that you're letting people know you're doing this. Because the challenge becomes, okay, we had some great training, or we've got some great training coming up. How do I let people know about this, right? When you host training, write up a synopsis, make it available to everyone. One of the things, Keller Williams has quickly become one of the largest franchises in the country. I think they just this year announced they've got the most agents. Great. One of the things they do a very good job of is they host trainings and they invite everybody and anybody to come join them. Okay? So announce your upcoming training events and keep a training calendar on your blog. Make it really easy for people to find you and find the training that they might be seeking. A bunch of you guys said people change because they don't get good training. Right? If you're offering these sorts of things, you want to make sure that people are aware of them. And if you're doing trainings in your office, don't just lock it down to your office, right? Make these things available to everybody, because there's brokerages out there in each of our markets that are not doing a good enough job of training their agents. If my brokerage offered tools, let's say my brokerage offered leads, and back when we had Brio, that was one of the #1 things that we offered. I would be writing about what my brokerage offered. I would be writing that this week, so when we had our brokerage, our agents were generally based around Seattle, kind of. So we had 150 agents, but our website generated leads all the way from Bellingham down to Vancouver, Washington, all of Western Washington. And we had some pockets, like in Chehalis and Centralia, in Lewis County, we had these pockets where we did not have agents to cover the leads that we were generating, right? That would be something that today, if we had ActiveRain in conjunction with our brokerage, I would very much be talking about how yesterday we generated 15 leads in Lewis County, and only 2 of those leads got called by an agent, right? I need people to help me work these leads, right? We had a really powerful, for those days it was powerful. For these days, these CRM options are kind of available, right? Market Leader offers this kind of a solution. Boomtown, Tiger Leads, right? There's these brokerage level lead generation systems that allow you as a broker to go in, get support from a big company, help you generate leads, and then these CRMs help you kind of pass the leads out to the agent. The CRM helps the agent manage the leads. Right? If I have something like that in my brokerage, especially if it's a differentiating factor, right? If I'm at Remax and we've got Lead Street, right? I'm wanting to let people know the kind of things that my brokerage offers by way of tools that are going to help that agent get ahead, right? Because if they're sitting at their office thinking, I don't have any leads. I don't have any leads for my business. And they're on ActiveRain and they're trying to figure out how can I make my business better, right? If they see that your brokerage is offering leads, right? If you don't put these things out there, people don't just know. So what are you doing inside of your brokerage? What kind of tools and things are you providing to your agents that you should be writing about and letting people know of? Are you doing any community involvement or outreach? One of the things that I kind of always lament about, we had some really successful agents at our brokerage, but we didn't necessarily share those agents' successes. And this goes to the heart not only of recruiting, existing agents or agents from other companies to come to your business. It also goes to the heart of retaining the agents that you have, trumpeting their success stories. If I've got an agent in my office that just, closed her 15th deal this year, where last year she at this time had closed 5, that's a story that I might want to share. Right? We're doing something good in our office, or maybe Kate's doing something good as an agent in our office. That's the kind of thing that I would want to share on my blog, because it shows other agents, hey, there's people at our office that are having success, but it also reinforces to Kate that, hey, we're really appreciative of the efforts that she's putting in, right? And in how far she's come as an agent in the last year. Community involvement and outreach, gosh, if you guys are doing things in your community, obviously you're not doing them for the recognition, you're doing them because you love your community, but it never hurts, right, to share those things that you might be doing in your community. If your office gets together and does a Habitat for Humanity or something, make sure you get that stuff online.
We have a question that came in.
Into your blog.
Would you ask the agent to write about them before doing so, or would you just highlight them?
If it was my brokerage, I would have told the agent I was writing about them. I mean, I would definitely, I would ask them. But there may be some people that are really personal or something, and they don't want this stuff out there. But maybe you just put it out there as, Kate's done, she's done twice as many deals as last year, and if that means that this year she did 6 and last year she'd done 3, well, fine. Nobody needs to know that, but I can put it out there as a success story for her, right, where I don't necessarily broadcast her income or something of that nature, right? But yeah, I would talk to the agent. I would ask him, because I'd want to sit down and know, hey, I'd do it in an interview style. Kate, what are you doing this year that's been different for you than last year? You've come a long ways. Like, are there some systems that you've put into your business? I'd want to write that post as something that kind of displayed why it is that she's more successful this year than last year. I wouldn't want to just say, yep, Kate has 6 deals this year, and last year she had 3. Congrats, Kate. Right? I'd want to do it in a fashion that somebody reading that would look at it and see that inside of my brokerage, we're giving Kate the foundation to be more successful, right? So if Kate was grabbing leads from the company website, if Kate said, man, I just have so much more free time because the brokerage, has DocuSign, right? I feel like the transaction coordinator that you guys are offering me has really helped to, once I've got the deal done, I don't have to worry about the paperwork anymore, right? those would be things I'd want to wrap into the story. So I would definitely check with Kate. But like I said, in my brokerage, I would have just went and said, hey, Kate, guess what? I think you're doing an awesome job. I'm going to write a story about you on our blog. I'd like to share it with some of the other agents in this market, people that, that need to come here to kind of realize the success that you've been having over the last year. Right? And most people are going to be okay with that sort of thing. But yeah, it's probably a good idea to let them know, give them a heads up at the least. Some other stuff you can blog about. Overcoming objections, problem solving, sharing the experiences of agents in your office. I think it doesn't matter how long you've been in this business, and if you've been on ActiveRain or you spend a lot of time reading on ActiveRain, it's probably, at least once a week, if not once a day, you see somebody write something that even if you've been in the real estate business 15 years, you've never seen this thing before. And, every single real estate transaction that you guys have is different. Each transaction in your office is different. They all present new and unique challenges. And it doesn't matter how long you've been in the business. Every day something new comes up. One of the nice things about ActiveRain, and one of the things I hear a lot from people is, I'm always learning something new, or I'm always seeing some kind of a situation that I'd never seen before. And for you as a broker to write about these sorts of scenarios and to actually show how you solved them or how you overcame these certain objections, this is a very powerful sort of post to put in front of other agents, right? Because it shows, the level of your experience. It shows, and sometimes these experiences aren't even yours, right? They're just the experience of an agent in your office or something that happened where there was a challenge where, had this challenge not been met, the deal fell apart, the agent didn't get paid, the broker didn't get paid, right? To be able to share how you've overcome those, what kind of problem solving you go about doing, these can be very powerful resources to put in front of, agents who are struggling or agents who have these same sorts of problems. Right? The number of searches we get done on ActiveRain itself, and these aren't just Google searches that land somebody on ActiveRain, but the number of searches done on ActiveRain that relate to question sort of things like how do I or what does, right? There's literally tens and tens of thousands of those sorts of searches done every day or every month on ActiveRain. Every month we have tens of thousands of searches done, and I can tell by looking at them. I'm an analytics nerd. I'm in our analytics all the time. But I can tell that these searches are agents, right, looking for answers to some kind of a problem they're having right now in their business. They're not going to the brokerage blog. And they all have brokers. They're not even going to their broker, right? They're coming to ActiveRain to find the answers to these challenges that are coming up in their business every single day. Again, this is the sort of thing you don't just post and pray on these blog posts. And I don't normally drive this home as much, but we've got this other class coming. We'll do a whole hour on just the idea of I've got a good piece of content. I took the time to sit down and write this thing. I think if I could get it in front of, my target audience, right, other agents, that this thing could help me convince them that our brokerage might be a place for them. Don't just post and pray, right? You've got that database of agents that you're trying to recruit. And it's not something where every single blog post you write, you're not going to send an email out, put it in the mail, drop it on Facebook, put it on LinkedIn, do a Craigslist ad about it, right? But there's certain posts that you write, especially if I was writing about like the 15 unanswered leads that we have in Chehalis this week. Right? That might be something that I would post on Craigslist in the Chehalis area of Craigslist. Hey, we've got 15 leads for an agent that's hungry. Right? That might be something that if I've got my database and I know that I can kind of segment it out, right? That might be something I sent out to some of the people I'm targeting in that area.
Hey, Bob William has a good question. He wants to know, when reaching out to active agents in your area, what's the best method to contact them? Mail, email, phone call?
When I think, here's what I would do, and some people are just going to pick the phone up, they're going to call, they're going to talk to them. what I used to do, and we used to do this because we had that problem. We had leads everywhere, and we didn't have enough agents to work them. And I mean, when we first started, we were literally, you guys generated 200 leads a day, and we had like 15 agents, right? We built up to 150 agents on this principle. If I had an extra lead, I would send an email to the agent. I would let them know, hey, Carrie, down in Tacoma, my name's Bob with Brio Realty. We're based here out of Bellevue, but our brokerage covers everywhere from Bellingham to Vancouver. Our site has been generating some buyer leads in Tacoma recently, and we don't have enough agents to cover them. I see that you're a pretty successful agent down there, and I'd love to have a chance to speak with you. I'm going to give you a call later today to talk to you about some of these leads. And I would send the email, and then I would follow up in a call. Right? I mean, I don't know that there's a best way, right? If you have something very specific, you have a specific message to deliver. Like, I wasn't just BSing this lady. I literally had a lead that was sitting on my website, like burning a hole in my pocket because nobody was going to call it. Right? So in that case, like, I would send, and I was doing this to, multiple agents every single day. But I literally had something that when I called her, there was a reason for me to be on the phone with her. All right, let's talk about finding people on ActiveRain. So I think using ActiveRain, so writing a blog that's kind of geared towards like people in your sphere that you might be pushing these messages out to, or hoping that people find you on the search engines, or you've got your Facebook list, or you're running your Craigslist ad, and you can use these things to kind of point back to your blog post. But you can also kind of take a more active role in participating on ActiveRain to create relationships with agents in your local market. So I want to make sure, and again, if you were a 9 or a 10 earlier in the day, you know how to do this, okay? But how do you find people on ActiveRain? So let's jump over here to ActiveRain real quick. And I want to show you the first place that you can go to look for agents that might be local to you or who would consider joining your brokerage would be the leaderboard. So when you click on leaderboard, so from the home page, you see right down there, kind of below the ad that's here, leaderboard. I can go in here and I can kind of segment this down to find the most active people on ActiveRain in a certain area. So if I was let's say I was looking in Tacoma, I was trying to find some people to cover my leads in Tacoma, right? I would go down here and say, agent. I would come in here to Washington. I would come in here to Pierce County. And if I wanted to go all the way down to Tacoma, I could go all the way down to Tacoma. But maybe I would just go to the Pierce County level. So this is going to give me all the folks that to some degree have been active on ActiveRain inside of Pierce County. And you notice there's 50 people per page and there's 10 pages. So there's over 500 agents just in this one county of Washington. Now, I might want to get in here. Let's say that Sandy was somebody that I was, I might want to try to target Sandy. I wanted to start to build a relationship with Sandy. I'm going to get in here to her blog. And the first thing that I might do is I might comment on Sandy's blog. Now, so here's a lady, right? Her last blog post got no comments, right? So do you think that I could start to form a relationship with somebody, Sandy in this case, by leaving a very engaging, thoughtful, meaningful comment on her blog? Absolutely, right? And if I was to do this over time, if I was to continue to come back and every time Sandy posted something, I jumped in there and I said, man, Sandy, obviously I'd want to read it, right? I just wouldn't want to just say something like, hey, great post, Sandy. Or I'd want to add something to the discussion. So I might, if I had a client who was doing half, or we had a closing recently at we had an agent who helped somebody do the half a program, or whatever, right? I'm looking for some way in here to kind of connect with her, to share a little bit of expertise, to share an experience. I would just come in here, open her blog, and come down and leave a comment. Okay, when I do that, I'd probably want to subscribe so that if she responded to me, I get an email notification letting me know she responded. And I might even have a conversation with her on this blog. Now, if I wanted to know if Sandy posted something in the future, what I would do is right over here on the right-hand side, I would subscribe to her blog. So by doing that, and I'll do it right now, I hit subscribe to blog. So I've subscribed to Sandy's blog. Now on the right, so from our homepage here, in this blogs area right here, it's going to take me to this blogs page, and on the right-hand side are all the people that I'm subscribed to. So the next time that Sandy, and she's going to be way down here because she hasn't posted for a long time, and the people I'm subscribed to are pretty active. So she was all the way down at 3.9. There she is, Sandy, right here. See her? The next time Sandy posts, her little face is going to float to the top of this page for me. And so when I come in, and maybe it's a couple times a week, I come in and I check ActiveRain, I'm going to look here on my blog subscriptions, and I'm going to find the agents that I'm trying to build relationships with, and I'm going to go in and see what they posted, and I'm going to make some kind of a meaningful comment. So the other place we can find people on ActiveRain is on the state, county, and city pages. So that the lists I just showed you on the leaderboard, those are going to give you everybody, and they're going to give it to you based on all-time most active, which means some of those people might not have posted for a while. But let's say I wanted to see who recently had posted something in like Pierce County or in Tacoma. What I can do is I can come in here to states. Right from the top, I can select Washington. Then I can come over here and I can look at these lists of cities, or I could go down to the county level. So down here below is all the counties. And I could come in here and say, okay, in Pierce County, who's posted something recently? And I can see all the people in here who've been posting things recently in Pierce County. Right? If I wanted to drill down and I was really just looking for an agent who was in Tacoma, oops, T. I'd get down there to Tacoma, I'd find Tacoma, I'd click on that. So every time an agent posts something, so I've got a couple of things here. I've got the agents in this area, kind of the top agents in this market. But I've also got the most active, and I know they're active right now because these posts are recent, right? If I was to go in here and look at Anna's post, I'm going to see something in here that's recent, right, from a couple weeks ago. Right, but I can do this. I can kind of look through. If we were to go at a county level, you know, just Pierce County, this stuff's probably going to be more recent. Right, and again, I'm doing this because I could subscribe to their blog so that I can know the next time I'm in here if they've posted something, and then I can start to comment. Right, and we see Renee getting comments from some of the other folks, but we could come in here and add something to the discussion. Okay, so I went through this. You can subscribe to somebody's blog, right? It'll let you know when they post something. Get your blog subscriptions coming up. It'll give you a chance to check in with them, kind of touch base, leave some kind of a meaningful comment, right? Those comments become essential because, especially like if there's newer people on ActiveRain or they're new bloggers, they don't get a bunch of comments. Your comment can really jump through and just scream to somebody like, wow, this person's interested in my business. Okay? If you add something of value to their discussion, you can really start to build a good relationship with somebody. And what will generally happen, we've got this idea of reciprocity on ActiveRain. People will come back and start to comment on your blogs. They'll, you know, when you leave a comment, it links back to your profile. They can come back and check you out. They can head over and read the recent blog posts that you've written, right? We've got a number of folks on ActiveRain. Jason Crouch is one gentleman that comes to mind. J. Philip Ferranda is another guy. These are two guys that have built brokerages over the last 7 years out of ActiveRain. They've literally started brokerages, and a lot of the recruiting they've done has been based on their writing and their connections and their commenting on ActiveRain. Now you can consider advertising. We've got a couple of brokers. We have the ability on ActiveRain to run targeted advertising based on, you know, IP addresses and where people are actually sitting as they browse ActiveRain. Here's the deal, though. You should never run advertising on ActiveRain unless you're actually getting in there and engaging and writing blog posts, because you want the advertising to kind of be a supplement to your engagement on ActiveRain, not just something where you put it up there and go, oh, this is going to get us 10 new agents this month, right? It's kind of a cumulative effort where your engagement could be supplemented by advertising. And if you're interested in that, you could reach out to support@activerain.com and ask about advertising options on a local basis. So we're 58 minutes in, or so 57 minutes in. I mentioned earlier that I was going to give you something about how to access new customers. So how can you actually go out and find consumers who are looking for real estate information and who might end up becoming a client of yours? And this is something you could be doing for yourself. This is something that the agents in your office could be doing. I'd like to invite all of you guys, and we start this on this coming Thursday. It's our boot camp series, and it's a series of 3 classes, each class consisting of 1 hour a week. Even if you can't make the times live, as long as you register for the classes, we send the recordings of these classes out. Our boot camp series is 3 classes. The first class is called SEO, and we talk in that class about how do you write a blog post that ranks on the first page of the search engines. Okay, and I give you a couple of examples of things you could be writing about. I show you some posts where that rank in the search engines, right? I show you how those posts are constructed. I show you the tenets of a good post with the aim of getting your post on the first page of the search engines. The second week, we talk about keyword phrases. So I do a whole hour on how do people search online? What are the types of keyword phrases that you could be writing about in your blogs that will get you in front of interested buyers and sellers? And then the third week, the class is on calls to action. What kinds of calls to action do you want to have in your blogs so that when a consumer finds your post, they become a prospect or a lead for your business? This series of classes, especially from the perspective of reaching out to consumers. Now, from the perspective of being a broker and wanting to get your stuff to rank in the search engine, that SEO class would still be important, right? Because the principles I talk about in there really apply to any kind of a post that you write. It doesn't have to be a post geared towards reaching a home buyer or seller, right? Those principles apply to any sort of a post that you want to get to rank in the search engines. So activerain.com/bootcamp. You can share that with agents in your office if there's any agents in your office who are thinking about getting started blogging, or maybe they've been kind of poking around at it, but they're not having any success. They can't get their stuff to rank in the search engines, right? Have them join us for this boot camp. I'd love to really, really get them pointed in the right direction.